Hey everyone, how's it going? This is Seox with Triangle Gaming, and I'm bringing you another League of Legends guide. This is going to be a mid lane guide for the general himself, the master tactician, Swain. Now this is going to be a pretty basic guide, so we're going to take a quick look at his abilities, masteries, rune setup, and an item build that I use for him. And then at the end I'm going to go ahead and throw in some gameplay footage as usual, just so you can get a quick look at how he plays. So let's go ahead and get into it. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at his abilities. We'll start off with his passive, Carry and Renewal. Swain regenerates mana each time he kills a unit. This amount increases each level. The nice thing about this is it allows for good mana sustainability during the laning phase, and you don't really have to do anything special, just keep making sure you're hitting that CS. Next we have his Q ability, Decrypify. Swain sets his Raven to cripple an enemy. Over the next 3 seconds, the target is damaged and slowed. This is a really nice ability because it slows and damages. Not much more to say about it. Then we have his W ability, Never Move. Swain marks a target area. After a short delay, Mighty Talons grab hold of enemy units, dealing damage and rooting them. So it's pretty much like it sounds. You select where you want it to go. After a second or two it goes off, and it actually does do a pretty good amount of damage. Then there's his E ability, Torment. Swain afflicts his target, dealing damage to them over time and causing them to take increased damage from Swain. So not only does this do pretty good damage, but like it says, it's also going to increase the other damage that you do to that target while it is on. So this will be one of the first abilities you're going to use when you engage. And then there's Swain's ultimate, Ravenous Flock. Swain inspires dread in his enemies by temporarily taking the form of a raven. During this time, ravens strike out at up to 3 nearby enemies. Each raven deals damage and heals Swain for half of the damage dealt. Now this ability, you do target it on and off with a short cooldown, like I think it's like 6 seconds, maybe 8. I think it's 6 seconds. This ability does allow for some great sustain. It allows you not to be bursted so much. However, if you are out of this form, you can be bursted down pretty easily. But this also does allow you in team fights to get up there in the nitty gritty, in the trenches, take some damage and deal it, whatever you want to call it. Also in team fights, obviously there's going to be more than one person, but if you're going one-on-one or you're in your lane and you're wanting to go all in, the best time to do it is if there are some minions in the area, because like it says, it sends out 3 ravens at a time, so if there's minions for you to hit also, you're going to get more health in and help you sustain that fight. Now one thing about Swain is he is more of a sustained damage. He doesn't have super high burst. Now he does have a little, but it's more damage over time, like his E ability over 4 seconds, his Q ability over 3 seconds. Really his only instant damage, and that is when it goes off, it still takes a couple seconds to charge up, is his W ability. And Ravenous Flock also is sustained over however much time you have it up. Now for your max order, you're going to max out your E ability first, and from there it's kind of up to you. Nevermore does root them and it does more burst damage, but if you think you're going to have trouble hitting it, or maybe your opponent has a dash or something like that, you may get his Q ability first. That being said, it also is a lot easier to hit your Q ability, and it does do damage as well, so it's pretty much whatever you feel like doing at the time. And I guess it also does depend a little bit on your opponent. And then of course you're going to max out your ultimate whenever you get the chance. Alright guys, so let's go ahead and take a look at the mastery setup that I used. I used 21 points in offense and 9 points in defense. For the offensive tree, I got 1 point in double-edged sword for a little bit more damage, 4 points in sorcery for some cooldown reduction, 3 points in mental force for some ability power, 1 point in arcane mastery for some more ability power, 2 points in executioner so you can do a little bit more damage when they get low health, 1 point in spell weaving to help you with a little bit of damage, and then 1 point in blade weaving, which help you a little bit more damage. 3 points in archmage for some more ability power. 1 point in arcane blade for some ability power. 3 points in devastating strikes for some armor and magic penetration. And 1 point in havoc for 3% more damage. For the defensive tree, I have 2 points in block to reduce a little bit of damage from basic attacks. 2 points in recovery for a little bit of health. 1 point in unyielding for a little bit of damage reduction. 3 points in veteran scars for a little bit of health, and 1 point in Juggernaut for 3% maximum health. Now I use 9 points in defense because with Swain, he kind of end up being at the front of the fight, so I like to just give him a little bit more survivability. But that being said, you can easily take these points and put them over into utility and kind of do what most mid laners do. And put 3 points in meditation for some mana regain, and then I guess you can put 2 points in fleet of foot, or 1 point in fleet of foot and 1 point in phase walker, just depending on your preference. I'll go ahead and put another point in Fleet of Foot for a little bit of movement increase. Then you put 3 more points in Summoner's Insight for a little bit of cooldown reduction. And then go ahead and put 1 point in Runic Affinity to increase the buff times. Alright guys, so let's go ahead and take a look at the rune setup Swain uses. For his seals, you're going to go ahead and get +1 armor. For his marks, you're going to go ahead and get hybrid penetration for increased armor penetration and magic penetration. Now if you want to, you can just go with the straight magic penetration. For the glyphs, go ahead and go with scaling ability power. Once again, if you'd rather, you can go ahead and get the flat ability power increase, but these are better in the long run, so I go ahead and take these. And then for quintessences, I go ahead and just take the +4.95 ability power. So now I'm going to go ahead and show you the item build that I use for Swain. Your starting items, it highly depends on your play style along with your opponent. If your opponent has some skill shots and you're worried about being able to get out of the way, you'll go ahead and start off with Boots of Speed and 3 health potions. Now the standard start is to go ahead and take Doran's Ring along with 1 health potion. Doran's Ring is a good start. It goes ahead and gives you a little bit of health along with some ability power and some mana regain. Now for more sustainability in your lane, you'll go ahead and start off with Crystalline Flask and then 3 health potions. Now in the beginning you probably will go ahead and take Warding Totem, and then later on in the game you may go ahead and switch it out for Sweeping Lens. Now for your first recall, you're going to go ahead and build as far as you can into Catalyst of the Protector. Also, if you decide that you do need those Boots of Speed, and you started off with Doran's Ring or Crystalline Flask, go ahead and get that as well. Now for your core items, you're going to go ahead and want to finish Rod of Ages first. Gives you a good chunk of health along with some mana and some ability power, but the main reason you want to finish it first is because of its passive, which grants +20 health, mana, and 2 ability power per stack, with a max of 10 stack equaling 200 health, 200 mana, and 20 ability power. And the stacks increase every minute, so you want to get this as early as possible so you can get that fully maxed out as soon as possible. Its other passive, Valor's Reward, also helps with leveling. Every time you level, it restores 100 health and 200 mana over 8 seconds. Which is, it's not fantastic, but it does help, especially in the early game. Then you got your boots. I usually go with Sorcerer's Shoes for some magic penetration, but also, depending on the situation, you can get whatever you need. Mercury Treads or any of them really. Then you got Zonia's Hourglass. Gives you a good chunk of ability power along with some armor. Then it's Active Stasis, which makes you invulnerable and untargetable for 2.5 seconds. This is obviously helpful for anybody, since you're most likely going to kind of be in the front of the fight. If the team kind of targets you and you start to get bursted down, you can go ahead and use this. Then there's the Abyssal Scepter. Gives you a good chunk of ability power along with some magic resist. And then it has an alright aura, which reduces the magic resist of nearby enemies. For situational items, if you're needing to be a little bit more tanky, you can go ahead and take Spirit's Visage. Gives you a good chunk of health, some magic resist, some health regain along with some cooldown reduction. And then it's passive, which increases your self-healing, health regain, lifesteal, and spell vamp effects by 20%. And then if you're having a little trouble with conserving your mana, you can go ahead and take Athene's Unholy Grail. Gives you some ability power along with some magic resist, some mana regain, and 20% cooldown reduction. And then its passive, which restores 15% of maximum mana on kill or assist. And then its other passive, Mana Front, increases mana regain by 1% for every 1% of missing mana, which will help a lot with sustaining your mana. And then if you're just going with pure damage, you can get Rabadon's Death Cap, which gives you a good chunk of ability power, along with its passive, which even further increases your ability power. And then there's Deathfire's Grasp. It gives you a good chunk of ability power, along with some cooldown reduction. And then its active deals 15% of target champion's maximum health and magic damage, and increases all subsequent magic damage taken by the target by 20% for 4 seconds. So not only does it do a good chunk of damage, but it also increases all the damage that your other abilities are going to do to that champion. Alright guys, so now I got some gameplay footage lined up for you. Hope you enjoy. So that's going to go ahead and do it for this guide. If you enjoyed it, go ahead and like, subscribe, and stay tuned to the channel for some more League of Legends guides. If not, thanks for watching, and have a good one.